cracks knuckles. Brace thyself. You know, it'd be like my life's ambition to like say something in a review that ultimately like on the commercials they're like, this sentence, Ben Carlin.
Wow. Hey, brother, and welcome everyone to our full spoiler review of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Man, this has been one of the most highly anticipated movies, I feel like, possibly since Endgame.
Spider-Man,
yeah. That's true. There's a lot of these that have been going around. Either way, I think that so many of the Disney Plus shows, so much of what we have been seeing, felt like it was all going to like start culminating in Multiverse of Madness. So today we are going to break down the entire movie, completely spoilery. Let's dive on in.
The nightmare begins.
All right, Ben, Multiverse of Madness. Initial thoughts. It opens up. We see other Doctor Strange running down some mystical world with American Chavez. We don't exactly know what they're doing. What are you thinking?
I think immediately out of the gate, I was maybe about as thrown as I maybe continued to be, I feel like, for most of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like you were like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of what's going on, or possibly what I would say is, I think right away, and this sort of is like what continued throughout a lot of the movie, is that I think that what my expectations for this movie were going to be were really not what the movie ended up being.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I think that there was a little bit of like backtracking on my end that needed to be done, because I felt like I think I was expecting a lot more of the like, what are the major ramifications and like what is happening with the multiverse right now and how is it sort of like shattering and colliding and like, you know, what is this like, what is that all going to ultimately look like? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I quite had the full expectation that so much of the movie was going to be the sort of aftermath of WandaVision.
Okay.
Specifically. Like, yeah. I knew that Wanda was going to be a big part of the movie.
It almost could have been called Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness. Like, or I'm not sure Scarlet Witch did not get more screen time than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I think that there was a huge amount of plot that was spent there. And I think some of what I was surprised by is how much of it felt like sort of the movieized version of WandaVision. Like, sort of what you were seeing is almost that, like, all of the events of WandaVision in no way, shape, or form taught Wanda that everything that she had done was bad.
Right.
And so basically it was almost like, instead of the Hex, instead of all of WandaVision, it's like, all right, we'll go bigger than the Hex. We'll do the Star this time instead.
Right.
You know, and the Star obviously being the gateway between all of the different things.
Yeah, by Star, we mean literally every reality, everywhere, always.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Can't
control these 6 walls. Don't worry, I'm bigger and badder now.
Right. So I think that I think you're not wrong. I think it could have been called The Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness. I also think it could have been the origin story to American Chavez as well.
Oh, like it could have been more like about like more focused on her.
I felt like it wasn't so heavily focused on her to where I was like, this feels like a movie about her.
Yeah.
But the implications of her existence and like the obvious like setup for future installments of this character.
She got like the Andy from Toy Story treatment, where it's like everything's moving forward because of her. Right. But she's not really doing a whole lot other than just sort of having a power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that power, I think, is something that like it's pretty easily explained in just simply the idea that like what she can do is travel between all of the multiverses.
I think they did a pretty good job making her like a singularity too. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna need to be on the lookout for like 1,000 multiverse jumper people. It's like,
sure.
No. You have this one person can do it, and that's it. So we're good. We're good. Don't worry about that.
Excepting for the small fact that apparently her power can be stolen. By just about anyone.
I know, like everyone's like, "Why don't we steal her power?" Like, what do you mean to steal her power? Is this a thing? Could Wanda have just stolen anyone else's power at any given moment?
Right.
Yeah, or is this specific like witchcraft kind of power that she can steal, which also Doctor Strange can steal.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So that was the thing. If I wanted to jump from the beginning to the end really, really fast, just to sort of like set up those bookends, is basically you start with this scene with America Chavez going through this sort of like in-between universe where they're being attacked by a demon in sort of the effort to get to the like antithesis of the Darkhold, which I kept hearing them call it a name, and I felt like I kept not like holding it in my brain.
The Darkhold.
No, not the Darkhold. The opposite of the Darkhold. The blue glowing book.
The MacGuffin.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing.
Yeah. The Book of Ashanti. I think that's what it was called.
Nice.
Yes, I just pulled it out.
Pulled it.
I will say this. They open on the Book of Ashanti or Vashanti. They open on the Book of MacGuffin, and like that is like your big trophy piece that is like, okay, we started here, then we got thrown off course. Now we got to get back to here if we're ever going to beat Wanda. Like, so you sort of know, this is sort of like looming in the background. But like the way they describe the power of the book is like, if a sorcerer reads it, it'll give them any tool they need to defeat any problem. And I was like, that is so lame. Like, what a dumb way to win this movie. You're just going to go get this book and be like, I touched the prize, so I win. And then like, good job for the movie, because they get to the prize and it is promptly destroyed. That's it. And I was like, that was awesome. I'm so glad it didn't work.
Well, I mean, that being said, though, it was destroyed. I think the Darkhold was destroyed multiple times.
I will say yes. I was very happy that they destroyed the Book of Ashanti. Like, no problem. Like, they had to solve it some other way without this just like cure-all answer to everything. On the other hand, Wanda just sat there and took out all of Kamar-Taj all by herself, no problem, and is sitting there like doing her big Darkhold spell, and this like one lone sorcerer comes up and it's just like, it has to be me, I'll do it. And they just run at the book and stab it with a knife and it's just gone. And I was like, that seemed a little too easy. I feel like Wanda, 1, would have seen her coming. 2, I don't think you could just tackle the book like that. And 3, stabbing it shouldn't have done that. It wasn't a basilisk thing.
Right, yeah, right.
You know?
Right. What kind of sorcery is this?
I know.
Or witchcraft, or what even is it? Mystic arts?
What kind of mystic arts just destroys the book? And also Wanda's like, now I gotta see the spell again. And I'm like, you were just doing it. Why are you asking Wong what the spell was? Do you need the book to do? I guess you need to like,
maybe source your power from it.
I guess so, because like when Doctor Strange was using, he was like doing that thing where he like rubbed his hands across it, and then they like glowed, and then he like lifted the spell out of the book or something.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe you need the physical thing to actually do it.
Okay. So that being said, though, you've got this like MacGuffin book basically at the end, and the thing that I thought was interesting. So I don't disagree with you. Like, it was kind of cool that like it just like ultimately didn't come into play, and the golden gun wasn't a thing, and that was just it. However, I feel like we are set up at the very beginning of the story with basically this idea where like Strange is in a no-win situation and ultimately like takes the power from America Chavez, and it's sort of like, okay, like this is going to be like the problem is it's like, it apparently seems like the dilemma that these two must run into, sort of story in, story out, maybe, where
there is a running theme of like, the more Doctor Stranges you encounter, it's like they always sort of have the same story beats. It's like there's always Doctor Strange, it is always Stephen Strange, and he is always just barely missing it with Christine every single time.
Right.
And they always fight Thanos, and he's a big part of it, and yeah.
Right. But so all of that, though, to say is that like one of the things that I felt like maybe ended up, and literally the best way I was able to describe it is that it felt slightly like a cheesy, like Hallmark movie, which is that like the MacGuffin book is destroyed, right? So now it's like, now we got to figure out like what we're going to do instead. And it's like every time we've encountered this problem before, what Strange has had to do is basically take her powers. So this time, what we're going to do is believe in yourself.
Believe in
You
yourself.
can do this.
Okay.
Like, it needs to be
It
you.
needs to be
It's-
you.
And it's a pep talk that's coming from, like, a remote-controlled zombie version of Doctor Strange with what I can only call okay-ish prosthetics.
Okay. Let me just... Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk about that. Because this was, like, this, like, weird, like, turn... Or, like, there was, like, a weird shift in tone right at the beginning of, I want to say, like, the third act. From, like, basically the moment Doctor Strange decides he's going to dream walk into the zombie body. Right? Like, they're... all of a sudden, like, the whole movie has done a really good job of being, like, tiptoeing the line of, like, horror and having these, like, horror elements to it and making Wanda just creepy as possible. And there's even been, like, a little bit of, like, gore and stuff in there. I mean, this is the most not for kids Marvel movie I think I've ever seen.
That's totally fair.
For sure.
Yeah, the guy I was sitting next to was like, is this rated R?
I know. I mean,
I don't think it is.
Barely not, I dare say. So... there's that. I was really enjoying the vibe. It was like, it wasn't scary, but you were like getting, like, Wanda was creepy for sure.
Right.
And I really liked all of that. But like right there at the end, leading into the big battle, he takes over like zombie body and you're like, okay. And then suddenly it's like a parody of horror.
Yes.
And it's just like, you've been doing such a good job. All of a sudden it's like the joke is suddenly that like this creepy, ugly version of Doctor Strange who is a zombie is giving these like motivational speeches, which are like super corny. By the way, like the dialogue from that moment just takes like a nosedive. And I was like, what is going on? Like, you're at the finish line and you've had this crazy journey and now you're making like jokes about zombie movies or something. Like, it didn't land exactly the way I just don't know why they decided like this weird tonal shift.
You're
at the end.
Exactly correct though, because I think that like the zombie genre, you know, like a la Walking Dead, for example, like became such a big thing that I think then sort of turning that on its head a little bit and sort of having like, you know, exactly what you're saying, the zombie parody. That was word for word like what was going through my brain as I'm sort of like watching this particular like scene unfolds. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing, but like it's really not like, it's not like quite at, wow, this is hilarious, funny, and I'm definitely just like gut busting, but it also wasn't creepy. It was just sort of like, it was like, well, that's a choice. Yeah. You know, like I guess there's that. So I think like I was definitely having some struggles with that. And then also there, like, the idea behind this movie, and I think what a lot of Marvel is attempting to do with their movies going forward, is that you can't just keep telling origin story after origin story after origin story, because we did that with the first 4 phases of the MCU. And so, or the first 3, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so now where we're at is like they're trying to like really go in and tell sort of like, I guess, genre-based movies, like putting like a style to it. Yeah. You know, and in this case, in this particular form, it was supposed to be a horror movie that exists within the Marvel universe. Right. I felt like some of the choices were almost like somebody kept having to remind somebody in production that there were supposed to be horror elements. And so it kept almost feeling like, it was like, oh, okay, well, instead of having like Wanda just who is just literally knocked over like an entire army of some of the most powerful, you know, sorcerers on the planet, right, is now like limping her way through like the Illuminati headquarters. Right. And it, to me, I felt like the limp, and this was the first time I actually sort of like hailed back to that sort of like zombie thing, because what you're almost seeing is that sort of classic slow motion, dangerous person who is able to somehow keep up with your heroes who are actively sprinting away, but like, you know, the slow limps like somehow still like keeps up. Doing the Doctor Strange version of it where you're in this new body was kind of goofy and silly. But the other one were like the demons that like start to attack because Doctor Strange has taken this form. Yeah. Like they are then able to transport through zombified Doctor Strange to wherever our Doctor Strange is with Christine,
Yeah.
On the other side.
Right.
In the Sanctum Sanctorum. And so then they start attacking Christine.
Yeah.
And you sort of get this like point of view camera from the demon's perspective, and like, Christine's head.
They
like,
did
sort
some
of,
weird point of view shots a few times.
Yeah.
Even when Wanda first was like dream walking into other Wanda, they did that like her like creeping through the house that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing that I think typically makes those shots work well when they are done well is that like typically you have a far more innocent or otherwise unsuspecting person who is like staying in the dark, shadowy house with no cell service, and they keep hearing a noise in the other room, and they open the door, and when they open the door, it's all quiet and still, and then all of a sudden from like the fireplace shoots out these demons, and
that's your first look at them.
That's your first look at them, and you like looking in on this person are like, oh my gosh, this is just like a poor innocent person who's being attacked by these demons and has no idea what's going on. But with Christine, it's like she's not a superhero, so you're not like, okay, this is the same as, say, Steve Rogers being tackled by all the aliens in Wakanda.
Right.
It's like where Steve is a super soldier, so it's like you're not really worried that they're going to actually destroy Steve or anything.
Right.
But I also sort of had this feeling about Christine in this situation that like she is so far deep into like researching the mystic arts in this particular iteration of her.
Yeah.
That like I wasn't really that like fearful that these demons were going to stand a chance against her.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't that like worried about Christine. It didn't make me panic.
Yeah.
Or like even feel anxiety about the situation.
I thought just in general, the demons were stupid.
Okay.
Like, in a word. Like, I thought they were just done poorly, and they're like I guess they are the damned, as it were, and that's what that's what the Darkhold is like the book of the damned.
Right.
And these are the things that are going to come punish you for doing the spell wrong. And it was just like you're right. Like, I wasn't that worried that Christine was going to lose, because she obviously has like the plot armor of being a main character.
Right.
Which to be fair, was not necessarily always it affected this movie.
Okay, well we can come back to that in just a second. Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, okay, these guys just erupted out of zombie Doctor Strange and pretty much took him down almost immediately. And now they're coming out of Christine's version of Doctor Strange. And like, she just like drop kicks one of them or something. I was like, why are you taking them down so much better than him? And then she picks up like the pot with the fire, and it's just like, it destroys them all. With her very bad dialogue as well.
Yeah, I know. They had sort of like
the one-liner.
Like, not today, Buster.
Exactly.
It's like, all right.
Just a little bit. I feel like we're saying we're saying a lot of critical things about the movie, but in general, I did really, really enjoy it.
Okay, so
for the most part.
Right. So I was gonna say like that. That's sort of like the big question there, because I think that like I sort of felt the same way. Like I think ultimately I was pretty entertained by the movie, and I found it to be a lot of fun, even if it was in fact cheesy at times. But the thing that I fear that this movie is going to be up against is sort of the growing expectation that the audience might have towards either cinema at large or specifically within the MCU, that there are going to be these really big, like, mind-blown moments. And when it comes to Doctor Strange in particular, I feel like he is sort of emerging as the through line that Tony Stark served as for phases
1 through 3.
1 through 3. Like,
right.
Like Tony was sort of showing up inside of everybody else's movies to sort of like kind of keep that continuity of the central storyline like sort of interconnected. Right. And it feels like Doctor Strange has done a whole lot of that. And so I was expecting to go into this movie, and I did think that there were going to be some pretty mind-blowing moments, and we were going to start to like have the structure of the multiverse. And maybe we got this a little bit like explained in such a way that like we're starting to kind of take this incredibly complicated and complex idea, and maybe it was going to serve as like the architectural plans for like how it's all going to work. It was going to sort of like give us the ins and outs, which I would say there was some of, and I think that America Chavez gave us that sort of like universe to universe to universe explanation, which is that like maybe New York City exists in every iteration of it, but it looks a little bit different. Red means go. In addition to that, you know, like there was this big promise, this big hope that we were almost going to be going to the location of the Illuminati and maybe get a glimpse into what else might be coming with the MCU based on who we saw in that room.
Oh, I feel like we did.
Okay, so that was going to be my question, because
Yeah.
this is like one of those things where it's like chances are there's interviews out there that explain this very thing. But you get a couple of big reveals.
Yeah.
One of whom I would say was something that I feel like fans have been asking for forever, which was John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Reed Richards. Oh man, I was so excited. I was like, yes, thank goodness, that's amazing.
I know.
Great.
So, but that's the thing. Yes, you're like, no way, like they did it.
They did it.
But so that's the thing, is that what they did was exactly what fans were asking for. So my sort of like quandary here was almost like, is this, and same thing with Patrick Stewart returning as Professor Xavier, is this Pietro from WandaVision sort of all over again? Or is what we're seeing in the same way that every Doctor Strange is Benedict Cumberbatch's Stephen Strange? Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so does that say that like when we get Fantastic Four, who we will have as, you know, Reed Richards is in fact John Krasinski, and if we get the X-Men, is Patrick Stewart going to reprise his role as Professor Xavier? Because what they did with Pietro in WandaVision was have a character who has previously existed in a different Marvel universe before show up. And they sort of like, he even was playing the same character that he had played in the other universe.
Right.
But then there's sort of this big like, haha, not really moment at the end where it's like, despite the fact that out of universe, all of these details are true, this is mostly just a joke that is fun for maybe someone out there. So the question that I was having though, is that because they brought in these sort of like fan servicey characters and then promptly and brutally killed them on screen, like, was that like, we hear you want John Krasinski as Reed Richards, we'll do it, it'll be fun, he'll have a lot of fun showing up on set, getting outfitted and everything, but then we're gonna have his head explode after he's been turned into ribbons? You know, and it's like can they do that and then also at some point in time bring us the Fantastic Four with John Krasinski, when we all know that the first ever time ever that we have been introduced to this character played by this actor, that he was almost comically destroyed within seconds?
I think the answer to that is yes, and that my interpretation was that they recognized an opportunity to be like, okay, this is a great way to preview everyone that's coming, right? You have Xavier in the yellow chair even, and they even played, I don't know if you heard of that, like the 1997 X-Men
I did hear that
theme song. Yep. That was really cool, and because it was in the yellow chair, it made me wonder, like, are we supposed, is it that the Xavier from the cartoon that we're seeing here?
Oh, interesting.
Because they played the music, and because it was in specifically the yellow wheelchair, and because they're making more of the 1997 cartoon soon on Disney Plus.
Okay.
I was like, is this the universe that all of these people are from then? Is that what universe we are in? Is 1997 X-Men universe? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe there's just another Xavier with the yellow chair. Not really a big deal. But I think what they saw was the opportunity to be like, all right, let's introduce all these characters. Yes, X-Men's coming. Yes, Fantastic Four. Yes, Inhumans. Great. All of that stuff is there. But not this version. You're going to get the 616 version of all of these guys, which they confirmed 616 is
in fact where we are.
Yeah. I guess maybe they've done that before, but they did it again. That was fun. Like, you're going to get your version of those, but in the meantime, we have extremely disposable versions of those characters. So let's use them, because let's face it, you the audience know who these characters are, mostly. Probably not Black Bolt, but whatever. He's there.
The one thing I will say about Black Bolt was the speed at which they were able to show you what his power was and then how Wanda turned it on him was like quite literally mind-blowing. It was like, I mean, but literally. I was like, that wasn't not clever.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a pretty like, whoa.
Yeah.
What happens if she turns it around?
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what they wanted to do was like, here's all these powerful characters you already know and love. let's go ahead and use them to reestablish, because in case you forgot, how insanely powerful Wanda is.
Yes.
Because she is going to literally rip through them in seconds in the most brutal way we've ever killed anyone in the MCU.
Yes.
And there will be no doubt as to whether or not they are dead.
Yeah.
Because they are dead. And
And that's the thing too, is that like we see like that version of Captain Marvel go down, and like make no mistake, Captain Marvel is arguably absolutely top tier power level Avenger.
right, absolutely. I mean, Wanda and her power both come from the Space Stone.
Sure.
So they arguably are evenly matched, although not arguably anymore, because Wanda destroys her.
Yes.
Like, and I mean, I love that they have her show up, and it's not even like Wanda in person, like through dream walking.
Right.
Like in the house mom clothes.
Right,
you know,
right.
showing
yes.
up.
Good juxtaposition.
I mean, immediately destroys Black Bolt. What mouth? Oh man, that was crazy. Reed Richards doesn't even get to land a punch. He just like reaches out and like that's the end of him. He's just gone.
Right.
Yeah. The Captain Carter fight. I mean, I did not expect the way for her to go down was to be sliced in half by the shield.
I know.
I was like, no, they did it. And then they bring in Dr. X or Professor X, and you're like, okay. And he's got his like little mind warp thing you've seen in every X-Men movie where it's like, okay, Xavier's here. He's going to go inside his mind. He's going to fix the problem. And he's like, I'm helping you. Dead.
Right, I know.
Like, just no apologies at all. Like, that was, I mean, it was effective. Like
it definitely demonstrated on a very, very, very absolutely crystal clear scale just how powerful Wanda is.
I mean, like Wanda does not lose a fight the whole movie.
Right.
Like even at the end, she doesn't lose the fight.
It's just, it's just ultimately
she just gives up.
She gives up because like you can use but I guess the right weapon against her was to show her herself in a way. Yeah, like point a mirror.
Show her children like the evil version of her or something. Which, okay, let's talk about this then.
Okay.
Because this was weird. Doctor Strange keeps saying like, you don't have any kids. She's like, I've seen them in the other universes or whatever. And then you go to the other universe and it's like, you see the kids and you see Wanda, and Wanda still has the powers, and there's still no Vision though. It's like, where's Vision? Where's their dad in this universe? Because in our universe, your kids, Billy and Tommy, only exist because you magically created them. Like, you obviously were not ever truly impregnated by Vision the machine. So like, how did you biologically create these two versions of them in the other universe? Not to say it's not possible or anything like that, obviously.
Sure.
Millions of possibilities. My question is, when Wanda was dreamwalking into other Wanda, was other Wanda in the middle of the hex? Like of that universe?
That's a very interesting. That's a very interesting perspective on it, and I did have a lot of thoughts about this exact thing as well, because I was slightly confused about that, or like where Billy and Tommy come from in all of the other universes and versions of herself.
Right.
Maybe she just literally dates like human version of Paul Bettany.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Sure. Who knows?
But a couple of the notes that I had about those particular things. I think it's a very good question as to whether or not Wanda was in Westview in all of those places. Like that is where she was going to visit them. The other thing that I thought was very surprising was that there wasn't like a really good battle between any of those Wandas and our Wanda. And that's actually where I thought it was going for a lot of the movie. I was like, who stands a chance against Wanda?
Wanda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we didn't see a whole lot of.
That was another weird one, because it seemed like maybe I don't know if I understand this correctly, but I got the feeling that 616, our Wanda, as the Scarlet Witch as a being, is like a singularity in the same way that America Chavez was a but not obviously there's tons of other Wandas and only one America, but the Scarlet Witch
could be right
only exists once, and it happens to be on our Wanda.
Right. And so the big question there and with that is basically like, when you're going through WandaVision, the show, at one point in time, there is a commercial for a product called the Nexus something.
Right.
And within the comics, what the Nexus being is effectively what America Chavez is, which is basically like a singularity amongst everything. Basically, my query there was almost like, does Wanda exist in every single version, but Scarlet Witch is exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, is a Nexus being like as an entity, as
Right.
an idea. But the other big thing that I sort of was taking away from like the whole Billy and Tommy thing was like they kept showing us this like almost too sugary sweet versions that I thought of Billy and Tommy.
Okay.
Like it almost felt like coffee with one too many artificial sweeteners in it. It's like it's okay to show like normal home life with two kids and not having them sing a song about why they deserve ice cream and like, I want to go first. No, I want to go first. No, let's do it together.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like,
that to me is further proof that it was the hex.
Sure,
You know?
sure, yeah.
Like, you know what's not realistic about this situation? The sweetness of these twin children.
Right, yes, yeah. As a parent.
I have twins.
Yeah.
Twin boys.
Right.
They're very sweet.
Yeah, they are. But no, I that was something that I felt like was laid on like a little bit thick because you see it in a few different situations. There's also like that opening scene where you don't realize that like Wanda is actively, like dreaming.
Yeah.
And like one of the kids is like, I don't need you to tuck me in at night anymore. And so she goes over to the other one. He's like, you can still tuck me in at night. And it's like it would have been fine if she was just tucking her kids in at night. Like, it doesn't need to be like,
Right.
so whatever. So that was something I felt like
yeah.
we got a lot of Billy and Tommy, and I felt we got a lot of Billy and Tommy from like a pharmaceutical commercial, like where everything is like scaled up on the color and they're like dancing down the side of a beach or playing with a beach ball or something like that. It's fine. Like families can be like, you can want families and not make them quite that. Was my critique of Billy and Tommy.
I assume they're introducing Billy and Tommy and really making sure the audience got a good look at them, thinking that maybe not everyone's seen WandaVision, and because I suspect that their characters will come into the fray as real adult characters at some point.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so that would be a big question, especially if like what their motivations end up being, or if the fact that like, is Wanda destroyed at the end of this movie?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So
yeah.
that would be like the next big question too then though, because basically what I would have thought as far as Wanda's arc is concerned is that you watch all of Westview happen, right? And like the idea was almost that it seemed to me like at the end of Westview, she was supposed to realize like, oh my gosh, like I let my grief get the best of me. I harmed these people in the process. Like none of that was okay. Like I need to go into isolation and learn how to like better control my powers. And instead it's like, nope.
Yep.
Like Westview 2.0. So then you get through all of this movie, and once again, I feel like you kind of come to this conclusion that she is like, oh my gosh, my powers have overtaken me. Like this is not good. I'm going to like take this like the archives, the throne.
Yeah, the
of
Darkhold. It will never possess anyone again.
Right. So let's destroy it. We'll lift the whole thing up, drop it. I will go down with the ship, so to speak. So basically, at this point in time, it's like if Wanda shows up again as a villain, and if it's like with the same motivations, it'll just be like, we can't keep doing this, like, right? Or do you think it will always be the same thing? Will always be the quest for Billy and Tommy?
I don't know. I don't think she's gone for good. I think that maybe this is like, hopefully like the actual turning point where it's like now she's like cut herself off from that possibility, and like if a big threat arises, they can like reliably maybe won't call her, but she might just show up to help.
Right. I mean, I suppose that there's always that potential to have this sort of like anti-hero ace in a hole. It's like, we don't know if we can trust her, so I don't know if we can call her, but then it's sort of like our backs are against the wall, so it's like, do we bring in Wanda for this? I could certainly see that, especially now that her level of power is so like, readily established.
You can also have, you could have the Billy and Tommy that we met in this movie. You could have something happen to their Wanda, and they're like, we know there's another one out there, and she was really powerful. Maybe she can help get our mom back or something.
Sure.
Something. They find a way to contact her because Billy can do magic himself, and
right.
What I know, comic logic, magic things. Anything can happen.
Anything,
Whatever.
sure.
They find her, they bring her back, and then she's like, oh my god, boys, we're all together, finally. Where's White Vision?
Who I thought was
Where
gonna show
was White
up.
Vision?
That was
Yeah.
surprising. I thought for sure that would be a character who we saw return in this particular installment in some capacity, and that's still just sort of like
He's just out there.
jury's out on him.
Who knows?
You know,
He's just
like,
floating around. Okay, this is another thing I feel like we finally really got like a very solid answer to the question, like, how necessary is it to watch the Disney Plus shows?
oh,
And
okay.
I dare say the answer was very.
Sure.
Like, I would love to know if you have not watched WandaVision but have watched this show, if you had any idea what was going on, or if she's like, or if you just were able to like infer enough from general internet culture that Wanda made the hex and you kind of had the right idea, or if you were just like, what was Westview? What happened? What do you mean?
Well,
Like-
and maybe that's too where it's like what they were trying, and maybe that's where I almost feel like we were a little bit on repeat, because it's like it feels like a very similar like story,
Mhm.
I guess.
And I guess, yeah, because maybe last time you saw Wanda, she like was powerful, but like, where'd she get this costume? Where is the Scarlet Witch?
right, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, that's definitely true. So yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I would be very curious about the same. That's definitely one of those curiosities where it's like you never know how to view it through the lens other than the one that you have working for you. Guys, we now need to take a brief pause to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, ExpressVPN.
You shooting a review? Or?
Why do you look different?
What? I just what do you
Different
mean?
shirt, different glasses.
This is
What
how
is
I
that?
always look.
What do you have there?
This is the honey.
Why do you have the honey? How did you find it?
What? I was right in the cabinet where you always leave it.
I would
Prop-
never leave the honey for you.
There was a sticky note that said, "To my dearest brother Jay, the one true host, here's your honey."
Are you from a different dimension?
I'm starting to think maybe. Why would you hide the honey?
I always hide the honey.
That doesn't sound like you.
Okay then, other Jay. Do you guys have ExpressVPN in your universe?
I mean, I've heard of VPNs, but normally I just use incognito mode.
Oh my gosh, incognito mode. As if!
Oh, no good?
No good.
No good. Why not?
Well, here's the thing about incognito mode. While it may hide some of your browser data, it is not actually hiding it from your internet service provider, your school, or your businesses.
Oh, so what is that? What ExpressVPN does?
What ExpressVPN does is very securely stash away all of your data. Incognito mode, not enough.
Oh,
I bet you get a lot of ads.
I do get a lot of ads. I feel like I'm in one right now.
All right, so here's kind of how it works. Like whenever you go to a cafe or a hotel where there's public Wi-Fi, when you log on to that network, other people on the network can easily get to your data.
Oh, but so like if I'm using a VPN, then they can't.
That is correct.
It like encrypts it.
It encrypts it.
So it's almost like when you use a VPN, your data is sent to a different dimension first and then back, so people can't find it.
Wow, that is a very succinct example.
Wow, I have some experience in this area, so
That makes sense.
yeah. All right, all this encryption sounds really good, but it also sounds like kind of complicated and like hard to set up.
Yeah, but it isn't. With
Oh.
ExpressVPN, there's literally one big button that says on. You press it, you're protected.
I feel like I could figure it out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Guys, stop letting people invade your internet privacy and start using the #1 rated VPN, expressvpn.com/J versus B.
I'm gonna go do it right now, back in my own dimension. If I leave this with you, can you give it to other Jay?
Absolutely, I can.
Thanks.
We'll take this. Again, guys, you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free when you head on over to expressvpn.com/J versus B. Again, that is expressvpn.com/J versus B for 3 months free. Link is in the description down below. One of the things I want to go back to is sort of like the beginning of just the movie entirely, like
Okay.
where once we see, Stephen Strange out going to Christine's wedding. And maybe then kind of projecting this through the rest of the movie as well. Did you feel like any of his powers were like nerfed? And is there a reason why that would be the case at all? Because like, I felt like right away, you have Doctor Strange versus like the like
Big eye octopus thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Based on how powerful we've seen Strange in different installments of the story so far, this didn't seem like it should have been as big of a battle as it was.
Sure.
It didn't seem to me like it would have been that hard for him to just open up a bunch of portals, cut off all of its legs,
Right.
and
That's that.
Yeah, like make like the same way he cuts the bus in half. Just make
make a big saw blade. That's it.
Slice it right through the middle.
I mean, granted, the way he does defeat it, again, super brutal.
It's super brutal.
Super brutal. Like, they did that. I was like, what? Why? Why was that? Did we have to see that? Like, I mean, it was cool, but I was like, man, they are going for it.
Sure.
Maybe that was just like warming you up for later when Wanda fights the Illuminati.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like, they were not shy. Like, right in the eye.
Right.
Oh man.
That was something that I felt like maybe kept coming up a little bit, and then even just like when Wanda does attack
Murtagh.
Yes, I felt like even all of them are typically depicted as way more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I suppose a little bit of like what we're trying to do here is be like, oh yeah, like we know they're powerful, and Wanda just sliced through them like, hot knife through melted butter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, I just feel like they would have held up a bit more. But like, I mean, she really just like it's no problem whatsoever.
You know what? Maybe this is just through my own personal lens. Is like I did not expect them to put up any fight.
Okay.
Like I was like, oh, they don't stand a chance. They're just doomed.
Okay.
They are, and then they were.
Yeah.
But
I think what I wrote down is that they seemed very stormtrooper-ified. Like they were just basically a bunch of like disposable.
Oh yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
And I mean, they sort of show up in Endgame, sort of in the same capacity. Like they're just like part of the massive army that makes up the numbers to fight Thanos' army, and
right.
Like they're there. They're they're just foot soldiers and stuff. I'm not sure everyone who practices the mystic arts is like on, not even close to the same level as like Wong or Doctor Strange.
Right.
Yeah. The Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, yeah.
I love that joke.
That was definitely a funny gag where it felt like maybe like Wong and Doctor Strange is like, or Steven's like relationship over this title.
Yeah.
is sort of like a little bit hilarious because it's just like Wong is just like eating up.
He's just lording it over him, like
yes.
literally.
Yeah.
He's like, I know that you're really the Sorcerer Supreme and genuinely are the better wizard, but I am the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, and as such, everybody bows to me when they arrive.
You know who seemed also, now that I think about it, weirdly missing from this movie is Shang-Chi. Because doesn't Wong go and retrieve him at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Like, where was he? He seems like he would have been really, from what I heard about the 10 Rings, they were cosmically powerful and probably would have been very helpful in this fight.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can I call in a favor, please?
Now is the time, Wong. Where's your buddy?
Can Aquafina bring her bow and
Where
arrow?
was Aquafina with the bow? I don't think that would have helped this time.
No, but
I don't think it would have helped last time either, so what do I know?
I know. Riley, our editor, always likes to point out that he thinks it's hilarious how much I got caught up in Shang-Chi that Aquafina was able to bow and arrow like a dragon on her second day of bow and arrow school.
Yeah, right? She's not even calling it archery yet. She's still calling it bow and arrow school.
Yes, right.
We make a good team!
I thought it was almost interesting and possibly dangerous of them to go ahead and introduce the like absolute precedent that dreams are of your other selves.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I was
true.
like, we got to go back and watch every single dream sequence. I'm like, how many can I even think of? I don't know. But like dreams are a pretty effective tool in lots of movies to like show you the ways the characters are thinking. And it's like anytime they do that in the MCU now, you're just like, other universe.
Right, I know. Yeah. And I mean, it was even sort of like an interesting thought experiment just purely from the idea of like, are our dreams the real life events of our doppelgangers in all of the other universes of the world?
Yeah.
He'd be like, for me, that'd be upsetting.
Yeah.
I feel like...
I did like the one where like the evil Strange is just like, you ever had that dream where you're falling off a building? That was probably me. I was like, oh, that's such a funny little twist on that dream.
I know. Yeah. It's like relatable.
Yeah, we've all been there.
That must mean that we have a Dark Strange. All of us have a Dark Strange somewhere.
All of us have a Dark Strange.
So that was definitely like one of the big takeaways for sure. Was how much of this could be happening, or alternatively, are there any characters that we have already seen where their behaviors could have been being influenced by dream walking from a version of themselves elsewhere in the universe, to where it's like, has anybody ever acted in a way that like didn't totally make sense?
I guess you would. It almost exclusively has to be taking place from someone who practices mystic arts.
That is true.
Because they have to be using the Darkhold to do it.
Right. I guess that's true.
So there's that.
The curiosity would be that, like, depending on how infinite you want to go into, like, all the different potential timelines that could exist in different versions of yourself, with there being enough infinite of them, it should mean that, like, in some of these universes, like, Peter Parker practices the mystic arts.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Like, that's possible.
Which might be a little bit of a leap, and probably a little bit of even what they gave us with this movie was setting some boundaries as to how many different universes.
Right, like they did destroy every version of the Darkhold, apparently. So they're just like, that won't be a thing anymore. Don't worry about that. Doesn't mean it couldn't have been a thing, though. I thought that was going to be the case for Baron Mordo, was that he was going to have been dreamwalked into by other Baron Mordo from 616.
Did you feel like his character was maybe like, because he's kind of like your go-to Doctor Strange villain,
right?
Historically,
yeah.
And it definitely seemed like, you know, you didn't really know how much you could trust him, and like even like when Doctor Strange goes in and like accepts his tea from the beginning, you're like, well, that was a bad idea.
Bad idea, man.
Sure enough, bad idea. But I mean, he didn't really end up being that big of a deal.
Not really. I think they just wanted to make sure that they put Baron Mordo in the movie, because I have a feeling that he is indeed going to be the big bad, more or less, of the next one.
Sure.
Yeah, if there's a Doctor Strange 3.
If we're still going that way. I have a feeling that will be the case.
I think there will be a Doctor Strange 3 too as well, because, you know, they had the girl show up at the end and open the portal to the dark dimension.
Right.
Yeah. Which, okay, this was what I was wondering, because I hadn't thought about this, but like she opens that portal to the dark dimension. That character is called Clea, by the way. She's like Doctor Strange's like helper assistant girl, and I guess often romantic interest.
Okay.
Past Christine.
Okay.
Possibly.
Good for him.
She's from the dark dimension.
Moving on.
I know, right? So here's the thing: Dormammu was trapped in the time loop with the time stone. Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but the time stone's gone now. It's been destroyed. So it's like Dormammu free?
Oh.
Right?
Interesting.
So I'm like, oh, maybe he's free. So the fact that they opened the dark dimension again is almost just like Dormammu's coming back. Like, it seems silly to introduce it if that's not going to be the case.
Right.
They definitely didn't have our Baron Mordo in this movie, so he's probably coming back. It just seems like...
Yeah, probably what they're doing is really setting up a lot of pieces. And so that's, again, what I go back to with, like, each of these installments. Like, I think that so much of us have really come to expect, like, each new thing to drop just, like, bombshell after bombshell after bombshell, and it just to be like, whoa, no way, mind blown. But we do always have to remember that within the scheme of things, they do need to still slowly roll out these stories.
Right.
And probably in a lot of ways, like, make you really want what they haven't given you yet. And that's sort of like, could Cap wield the hammer, or Avengers Assemble officially being said, or, you know, just like a lot of those like big payoff moments that they, you know, reserve for like the Avenger level events. You know, there's certainly a lot of that. But I do think in my mind, I was maybe expecting like Captain America Civil War kind of events to happen.
Okay.
And it, I suppose in a way, you know, like that's how we got like Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like, you know, it's sort of like our first little like taste of what a Spider-Man could look like in the MCU.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what we got with John Krasinski and Patrick Stewart and, you know, the other guys who are part of the Illuminati. One odd one that wasn't in there is I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise was cast to be in this movie.
Oh.
And then ultimately was not.
He's not in there at all.
Not in there. So I kept thinking he was going to like walk into the room as like different Tony Stark, like eating potato chips or something like that. Just being like, sup nerds?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Maybe that's either cut or still to come somewhere down the line, or ultimately just a misdirect, because my other huge question about this is somehow the MCU, it seems to be getting away with like not including all of the credit information for people who end up in their films. And I'm not sure what they're doing to avoid like the IMDb page telling us that John Krasinski's in this movie.
Oh, right.
You know, because like it wasn't there, and it did say that Tom Cruise was there, and both of those things were like inaccurate. So something tells me that some lawyers out there somewhere.
There's a bunch of lawyers and agents talking to each other with the storyboard people being like, okay, we want to, here's the thing. How about this, Mr. Tom Cruise? How about, can we pay you to falsely list you on the IMDb for Multiverse of Madness?
Right. And, instead, then...
I bet he got a paycheck for literally nothing for that.
Just for being like a placeholder.
And I bet John Krasinski was like, look, we're not going to list you until after the movie is fully out. and we'll pay you this much money for that.
And this is probably where even just the cinematic industry is evolving to the point of your name in the credits probably isn't as powerful as your physical appearance in the film.
Right.
And people know what they're seeing. Like, they know that this has been like a highly sought after casting of this exact and specific role. So
okay. So another one that a lot of people were suspecting was that they were going to have some sort of Namor thing, and during the like multiverse jump, there was like an underwater section.
Oh, that's
Do
true.
you think that was a Namor reference?
I think it's very possible that it was, because again, I think Namor's first reference possibly like in Infinity War. Is that where we get like that like
Oh, there's like an earthquake off the shore of that's like another like was that a Namor reference? We don't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
The odd thing would be that like if they're like very, very, very quietly like signaling Namor for a long time.
Yeah, like they're
who
just
is-
like planting tiny seeds, like unexplained little things off screen. Yeah.
Right.
Ocean World. Yeah, you think what? That was Namor. We also went through Paint World, Dinosaur World, and a bunch of other weird ones. Don't worry about it.
I know, yeah.
I feel like that scene had 1,000 Easter eggs in it. I was just like, these are going by so fast, I can't take any of it in.
Right, yeah. There will probably be a video at some point in time, which is literally just breaking down all the different places that they went and determining whether or not those places are in fact significant places that we should all know.
Right.
So yeah, lot to unpack from this movie. It'll be really nice, like once we have like access to it and we can kind of like dig through all the nitty gritty details and spot all the specific things.
Yeah.
That being said, where do you land on it? How do you score it?
I still thought it was really good. The third act took some weird turns and got weird with the horror comedy parody zombie thing. Other than that, though, like I thought I was so entertained the entire time. I was just loving it. I love like this, almost even the surprise like brutality of some of the scenes.
Sure.
Like it caught me off guard, like in a good way.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it for the most part. I like weirdly. I was like, they gave like Wanda almost the Thanos treatment where she's just like everywhere she showed up, she's just winning everything.
That is true, yeah.
And like,
yeah.
I was like, I almost expected for the movie to end with her winning. Like, I was like, I could see them doing it. And just like, yeah, they escape with a living America Chavez, but Wanda successfully steals her power. End of movie.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, and then maybe the like when we actually see more of her in the future, it's about how to get it back.
Right. It's like,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
now here's all the problems Wanda's been causing. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone's in trouble. I honestly, and I was almost like rooting for her. I was like, I want to see what Wanda's going to do when she gets the power. Like, I want to know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously she doesn't, but I don't think she's dead anyway. So I don't know. I really thought like, yeah, Wanda just ripping everyone to shreds was a very fun movie, which sounds like a very mean sentence, but I mean it in a good way.
There
You know what I mean?
There you go.
It was so crazy seeing like the heroes lose so many fights too.
Also true.
Like, I mean, that's the thing. They don't like, if you want to call, Wanda's obviously the villain of the movie. She does not lose any fights.
Right.
Like, which means the heroes basically win 0 fights. Like, they give Doctor Strange his one fight against himself with that music battle, which, let me just say, that was super creative.
That was very, very creative.
Awesome.
It was very neat to like watch it like unfold, and you, the viewer, just like innately understood like the way that they were both using like this very bizarro kind of magic mixed with then like the orchestra and everything that was like playing with it. That was cool.
That was really cool. I was like, it was so cool, and I like, not to take away from the scene, but I thought it was like odd how both Doctor Strange was like, oh, you want to fight with music? All right, well, I'll only fight you with music then. Like, they don't like mix it up at all. They're like, I see what we're doing. Okay, all right.
Street rules or band class?
Street rules about band class. It is all right. Okay. I could get out of the situation with a million ways, but. Ooh, a harp.
Right, yeah.
Like, good thing there was a harp there. I was screwed.
Right.
I don't know.
Ace in the hole. Could have used any other form of magic, but like once you agree to terms.
Once you agree to music fight, you must use instruments.
This is a gentleman's agreement.
That's basically what it felt like.
It did.
But I thought that was such a fun fight. That was very creative.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, I think my score probably lands around like an 87. That's what sort of feels right.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have once again liked it more than me.
Oh, this seems to be a trend.
I feel like I go back to my early reviews and I feel like so often I was just so excited for the movie that I felt like I didn't have like the fresh glow of my excitement having worn off yet. And I think in over the years, I'm growing more and more cynical over things.
I see.
I would not say that I thought that it was like I didn't dislike the movie. I was also very entertained by it. I thought it was really cool, like a lot of the choices that they made. As ever, Doctor Strange is like intended to be a little bit like creepy and trippy and weird and everything.
Yeah.
I definitely think there were moments where I felt like they were just attempting to inject that horror genre that maybe wasn't fitting or maybe necessary. Like you know, I ended up almost thinking too much about the horror genre and not enough about like Wanda's pursuit or something.
Okay.
Notably, like the scene like where they go and like trap her underwater, like it felt like they were like on like a one-way tunnel, and then somehow they got her behind them and then trapped her, and then like the water caved in. And whatever. Hopefully this Wanda can swim.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's all right.
Yeah.
But I landed at about 72.
72. Okay.
Yep, was my final score for it. So definitely not like trying to rake it across the coals or anything like that. It was super cool to see like Wanda, you know, in basically like God mode.
Basically God mode.
Yeah, because I actually really like your comparison to Thanos, because one of the things that was so cool about the way that they did him as a character was like they really made you get it. Like he is strong. He is powerful. Like,
well, that's the thing about Infinity War too, is that like Thanos gets the most screen time.
Yeah.
Like of anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we got a lot of that with this too. So yeah, that was sort of my takeaway from it. I'm very excited to like take everything new that we've learned and figure out how to like apply it to the MCU as it stands, and see if like even there's anything sort of within Phase 4 that we've seen so far that might sort of emerge as like, oh wow, like we didn't know what we didn't know, and now we can apply what we do know to what we didn't before.
Exactly.
So lots of exciting stuff ahead. I would say for my question of the day, I am very curious to hear what you guys thought. Have you seen it? I assume so if you've made it this far, but some people do tell me that they just watch the reviews.
They just watch.
They just want to know.
Spoilers don't matter to everyone.
They just want to know what to expect before they go see it.
Yeah.
So anyway, be sure to leave all of your thoughts in the towel section down below.
If you would like to see our review of the other latest Marvel movie, Spider-Man, you can check out this video right here. But otherwise, until next time, bye!